We're
Nice
recording.
picture.
All right. All right. Welcome back to the Social Adventures Podcast, the show where we explore the stories behind the miles, the mountains, and the people who find meaning in the journey. I'm your host, Jeff Hester, and today we're diving into a special conversation in our series, Why I Climb. And our guest is somebody that many people in the Six Pack of Peaks hiking community probably already know, or they've heard of, or they've seen his name, Philip Yoho. Philip has been a part of the Six Pack of Peaks community for a full decade. He is a legacy challenger which means he's completed at least one challenge every single year for the past 4 years. He's actually done it for the past 10 years. So he's a 10-year legacy challenger. In 2025 alone, he's completed, and I think I have this right, 7 challenges in the series. And let's see, SoCal, San Diego, Utah, Colorado, Adirondacks, New England, and Lake Tahoe. I think I got that right. And he's also steadily working his way through the state high points list, all while living the dream. He's traveling the country with his trailer when his axle's not broken, and exploring new trails and hiking as much as possible. But beyond all of the miles and achievements, Philip has been a huge advocate for the Six Pack of Peaks Challenge and an incredible part of the SoCal hiking community. And his consistency and his passion and his deep love for the mountains make him the perfect guest for our first Why I Climb episode. But before we jump in, I want to just mention this episode is brought to you by the 2026 Six Pack of Peaks Challenge Series. Registration is now open, and 2026 is going to bring more opportunities to explore new trails and push your limits and join a community of hikers who inspire one another all year long with 17 regional challenges, and we've got some more on the way. Curated peak lists, hike logs, badges, and a supportive online community. The Six Pack of Peaks is designed to help you build fitness, find adventure, connect with others who share your passion for the outdoors. Whether you're aiming to complete your first challenge or, like Philip, your, oh my gosh, 28th, 29th, something like that.
I don't even know the number.
You can learn more and get started at sixpackofpeaks.com or socialhikers.net. All right. So with that, let's dive into our conversation with legacy challenger Philip Yoho and explore the deeper reasons why he climbs. All right. Welcome, Philip. I really appreciate you coming on. So take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in hiking in the outdoors? How long have you been hiking?
Well, I started hiking in 2015. Just outdoor, having fun type hiking. A friend of mine at work came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, Phil, I have clients." He has a fit club. He says, "I have some clients and I'm going to take them to Mount San Jacinto." And I didn't even know what San Jacinto was at that time. And he says, "I want you to go." And I said, "No, I don't do that stuff anymore. I stopped hiking when I retired from the Marines." And he bugged me for a couple of weeks, and I finally gave in. Decided to go on this hike, which turned out to be the most miserable, worst first hike that I could ever have been on. It wasn't because of my ability. It was because of the group that we were with, and it just turned that it was Mary Mountain Trail to San Jacinto,
Which
which
is
is good
tough.
climbing,
Yeah.
and which I was ready for. I was in pretty good shape because I work out every day, but I didn't hike, so I wasn't really in hiking shape. And because the hike was so slow and took so long, 13 hours to go 12.4 miles. Yeah, my legs were killing me. My body was aching, and when we got done, I was done. I was never going to hike again. And,
One and done.
and what made matters, yeah, one and done. What made matters worse is driving home. My hour and a half drive took about 3 hours because of traffic on the I-15 and the 215, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I got home. I was like, nope, I'm never doing that again. But then I was sitting in my garage, and I'll try to rush this story real quick. I was sitting in my garage having a glass of wine. And I thought, you know what? I can do better than that. I'm going to go back and do this again, but I'm going to do it by myself, my pace, and I'm going to try to do it in 7 hours instead of 13 hours. So I go back 2 weeks later. I had everything planned out. I was going to stop at the 4 mile mark, put some food in me, drink some electrolytes, and then do that last 2.2 miles to the summit and come back down. Well, when I got to the 4 mile mark, I opened up my backpack and I realized there's no food in there. It's
Uh-oh.
all in the trunk of my car. I'm like, oh no, what
Rookie
do I do?
mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, this is wilderness hiking, right? It's on a well maintained trail, well traveled trail. It was a Saturday. So I reasoned to myself, I'm not going to get lost. I used to teach land navigation, so I know where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do. But I just thought, you know what, let me run to the top real quick, get my summit, and I'll come back down. And when I got back to my car, I was so out of energy, so worn out. I was leaning up against my tire, eating all the food that I had left in my trunk. And it was like an epiphany. It was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I love this. I had a great hike. I actually went back 3 weeks later and did San Jacinto again by myself. And then I started looking for hikes to do online, and I stumbled on the Six Pack of Peaks Challenge.
Awesome.
I was like, this is cool. And I started looking at the peaks, and it was just the original six at that point.
Right.
This
Yeah.
was
Way back early days. Yeah.
late November 2015. So it was too late for me to do the inaugural year. I think that's what that was.
That was the first year.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd already done San Jacinto 3 times, but it was too late to do the other peaks
Yeah.
that year, especially with my limited knowledge and all that. So today I would have tried it, but not then.
Not then. Yeah.
Um, yeah, not then. So I found the Six Pack of Peaks. I signed up for it right away for 2026, and I plotted on a calendar what days I wanted to do those hikes. So I started looking for hikes to do to train for each one of those. Um, and I found the 52 hike challenge. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me sign up for that too. So using that and using their spreadsheet, I plotted everything. So I was good for the whole year. And I was sold. I mean, ever since that's um,
It's
every year.
kept you
And
going.
something's happened each year to make it even better. Like when I met Cece and Hike Beyond the Hills group. I don't know if you knew that story, how I first met them.
Let's hear it. Yeah. No.
Okay, so we were doing my very first, I think it was 2017, Climb for Heroes. You weren't going to make it that year. So you had CC
I
get
was
all
in
the
Korea that year.
SoCal
Yeah.
hikers together. Okay, there you go. So CC's gathering everybody and doing the whole picture for SoCal hikers. And on one side of the American flag is me, and on the other side is CC's husband, Pascal. And that was it. Then we went on our way. We did our hike for the Climb for Heroes. And then later on that year, maybe 4 months later, I was doing San Bernardino Peak with a friend of mine. And coming down from the Washington Monument up there,
Hmm.
Cece was leading her group and she crossed right in front of me. I'm like, hey, I know you. And she looks at me and she goes, I don't think so. I said, yeah. Well, I remember you from the Climb for Heroes. I was on, you took the picture of
Uh-oh.
everybody for SoCal Hike.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're cutting out
And
here a
I
little
was
bit.
holding one end of the flag, and she goes, "Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Is it? I don't know if that's me or you.
I don't know either.
Can you hear
I
me
think
now?
we're good now. Go ahead. Keep going. So
Okay.
you ran into
Anyway,
CC.
yeah, we went on our merry ways, and then by the time I got home that evening, I had an invite to join her group, which I thought was cool. Joined the group, and I hiked with them a few times. Probably after not quite a year, she asked if I wanted to be one of her co-leads, and like, sure, why not? And then I started leading the group hikes with her. So that was a great 2017, kept me going, because I don't know if I would have kept going had it not been for other people that got involved in my life and what I was doing. So
Yeah, sure. It's, like having that sense of community. And then it's also sort of accountability, especially if you're leading a hike or co-leading a hike, you feel like, well, I better show up, whereas if it's just you and you might go like, oh, maybe I'll wash the car today and, do something else. And
exactly,
yeah,
yeah. Well, I started getting phone calls from people or messages because
yeah,
they heard, I was leading group hikes and stuff like that, and like, hey, we want to do the Six Pack of Peaks challenge, but we don't know these peaks and we don't know these trails. Would you be willing to take us? So there were a couple different groups of people where individual or different people where we hiked, all together, and I was doing the challenge probably 3 times each year, um, just with different people. Um, so that was cool. I had one couple who asked me, they wanted to do Cucamonga Peak, but they wanted to do it from Lydell Creek over by the 15, which I had never been on that side of the trail or that side of Ice House Saddle. And they said, yeah, we want to do that peak. So I'm trying to figure out, what's their fitness level and all, what's their experience hiking. They had no experience hiking, um, but they were marathon runners. So I thought, well, okay, they're probably in pretty good shape. They can run a marathon. So I told them, I said, I'm going to go hike that portion because I won't take people on a hike unless I've done the hike typically.
sure. Yeah.
Um, so I went and did the Lido Creek to Ice House Saddle just to see what it was like. Took a lot of notes, and then the following, maybe I think it was maybe 2 weeks later, I took that couple up. Now that couple just did, I think they were with CC at Patagonia.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I mean, they're out there doing some serious hiking and
Yeah.
enjoying
Awesome.
life.
Yeah. That's great. So you've been doing the six pack for 10 years. What keeps you coming back year after year? How do you maintain your motivation for this? And why do you keep doing this?
Uh, I would say probably the most important reason is my health. I'm not getting any younger, so just to manage my health and do something physical that I like. Um, I love. I'm at the gym. I don't go to the gym anymore. I have my own little gym right here in my garage, and I use rucksacks and things like that to train odd stuff like military type outdoor training, just to stay in shape. And I ruck a lot, but just being outside. I mean, I love. I mean, and it doesn't matter the weather to me. I'll hike in the rain. I'll hike in the snow. I mean, I got caught on San Jacinto in a snowstorm one year recently, probably not quite 3 years ago. Um, I took the tram, the easy way, right? Supposedly,
Yeah.
but I took I took the Sid Davis Trail because I
Right.
wanted to do Cornell Peak, which is on the way, and then do Miller Peak, and then do San Jacinto going up the backside. And in fact, the super hiking twins were out there that day. It was a snowy, and a lot of snow on the ground, but it started early that day. It wasn't supposed to till later on that evening, but 10 in the morning, I'm coming down from Cornell Peak, and it starts like drizzling, getting a little heavier, and then it started turning into sleet and snow, and I'm like, oh crap. So I'm going up the backside of San Jacinto now, a couple hours later, and I'm post holing almost thigh deep because I didn't have my snowshoes. Um, and I'm tired, and I was ready to turn around. I was maybe 100 yards from the summit. I was ready to just turn around and go back down easier. And I thought, no, you know what? Let me just get up there, and then I'll just go to the hut, the rescue shelter, and I'll stay there for an hour or so, and then I'll go down the regular trail, which was my plan anyway. So I get up to the summit, whiteout conditions. I wasn't up in 15 seconds, just long enough to shoot a picture, and then headed down to the shelter. And the twins were in the shelter with their parents. You know the
Awesome.
twins, right?
Oh
Super
yeah.
hiking.
The super
Yeah.
hiking twins. Yeah. Matthew and
Yeah. So they
Arabella.
were in there.
Yeah.
Yep. They just did Baldy the other day in the snow.
Yeah, 101st time or something like that.
Yep. That was their 101. Yeah.
All
So yeah, I
right.
don't know where I was going with that.
Well, you keep going. Every year you do the six pack. What are some things that have changed over the years as far as like your skill, your gear, your pace, or your goals?
My pace has slowed drastically. It used to be I tried to get up to the summit as quickly as I could. It was, I mean,
Well,
especially after that second San Jacinto summit, it was, I want to get it up, get down, and see how fast I could do these peaks. And that, like when I did the San Diego County 100 Peak Challenge, it wasn't about doing those peaks in a year. It was about how fast can I do all 100 of those peaks.
yeah.
And
How
my goal
fast
was
did
to
you
do it
do
in,
them?
well, my goal was to do it in 100 days.
Okay.
And now, to be honest, and oh shoot, I forgot his name. The guy that created the challenge,
Derek Longer. Yeah.
Derek. Yeah, and he knows this. Some of those peaks are so easy. They're like you could do 5 of them in a day
Okay.
if you have the time. Some are extremely difficult. They used to say El Cajon Mountain was the hardest hike in San Diego County, and I can tell you it's not even close to the hardest hike in San Diego County because I've been on some of the hardest hikes out in
I would
Anza-Borrego
agree.
Desert, which
Yeah.
is in San Diego County. So my goal was to do it in 100 days. I actually finished in 93.
Wow.
Um,
100 peaks in
and I got
93
up.
days.
Yes. Oh no. And I got my 100 peaks
Pin. Yeah,
challenge
that's
pin,
awesome. That's
there,
awesome.
which was pretty cool. Um, so yeah, I mean I don't know, just used to be
So
get it
you
done as
slowed
quick as
down. Why
possible.
why
Now
have you slowed down? Is that just
age.
like an intentional thing? Age. Okay.
Well, part of it is age,
Wisdom?
um, but then intentionally too, because I started really enjoying being out there. Again, no matter the conditions, just seeing the wilderness, seeing the animals, seeing the other people out there. I stop and talk to everybody on a trail just about, especially when I'm coming down. Um, and I think you already know I'm a wilderness first responder. I'm certified.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm always looking at other people to see that they're doing okay, especially in really hot conditions or really cold conditions. So I'm just briefly checking them out. If I see an issue, then I'll stick around for a minute and talk to them some more. And in a few cases, I've helped a few people out. But yeah, it's the joy of being out there, walking on a trail, not being on this concrete in my garage or out on the street, just enjoying nature. And
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you've done, if I counted correctly, I think you've done 12 of the 17 challenges and the Six Pack a Peak series. Does that sound about right?
yep, and the goal is to do the other 5 next year.
All right. So, what do you have like a favorite challenge, and what do you love about it?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I have to go with the original
The
six
Southern
pack.
California. Yeah.
Yep. Um, it's my favorite because it's the original and it's the first 6 peaks that I learned. I've done all 6 of those peaks in the last 10 years, probably. In fact, I have it written down somewhere. My little pencil chart here of all those. You probably can't see it, but it's each peak each year and how many times I did it each year.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Yeah.
like San Jacinto is my favorite because it was the original. And there's so many different routes going up to San Jacinto. My next hike, which hopefully is going to be the weekend after Thanksgiving, will be a snowbound hike up to the summit of San Jacinto, and that'll be my 30th summit in 10 years
Mm.
from 7 different routes.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do that. That's one of my favorites as well. It's a beautiful spot. It kind of reminds me of the Sierra Nevada mountains when you get up like to Round Valley in that area. There's
Yeah.
a lot of granite and a lot of tall pine trees, and it's just sort of a subalpine or an alpine forest. And there's meadows with skunk cabbage and all kinds of things. And it's also one of the favorite places that I like to take people on their first backpacking trip because it's kind of fun. You could go up the
Yeah.
tram. It's a really easy hike into Round Valley, that campground, if you're camping there. And, it's kind of a low barrier to entry, and they get a lot of, big bang for the buck, to go up there. But yeah, mine as well. Let's see. So it's changed over the years. What have been some of the most meaningful peaks or memories from this year's challenge, season?
Well, there's been so many. Obviously, doing the Colorado six pack of peaks with you guys, very memorable. I had a great time doing that one. Enjoyed doing the 14ers.
That
If
was
you
fun.
recall, I did three before you guys even arrived, so I ended up with seven 14ers in
That's
that what
awesome.
10
Yeah.
days. So that's very memorable. Which peak was that? When I did New Mexico, I was going to do the six pack of peaks challenge in New Mexico, but the day I did Wheeler Peak, which was my first one and only one, weather was coming in, and it was pretty cold. I mean, I was freezing cold when I was at the summit, and the storm was coming in. So I headed down, and obviously I wasn't able to do the other five because snow was coming, and I didn't have the right gear for that. So
Yeah.
next year I'll get New Mexico. What was cool
Yeah.
about that peak, the day before I did Wheeler, I was working, and I know you're going to ask. I think you're going to ask about this later on. I was doing a high point in Oklahoma. I think it's called Black Mesa. Was the high point, and while I was doing that high point, I ran into this. They were spread out on the trail, but it was a family. There were two boys. Um, they when did I see them? I saw them when I got to the summit. They got there right after me, and then their mom and their sister came up. And when I say boys, they're probably early 20s. The
Okay.
daughter was in her teens, and then the mom, and the dad was way back behind them. Um, and I didn't see him until I was going down. But then the boys passed me on the way down, and just before the finish of the hike, maybe a half mile to go, um, the boys had just passed me, and they were maybe 20 feet in front of me. And one of the boys stepped right over a rattlesnake, didn't even know it. Yeah. Um, so we were standing there, we're looking at the rattlesnake. He's all laid out or strung out on the trail, hadn't coiled or anything yet. Um, so I'm asking the boys questions. What do you know about? They didn't know anything. Walked up, she didn't know either. So I gave them a quick lesson on rattlesnakes and their striking distances, and you know they have to be coiled to strike for the most part. Um, and I even it was funny, and it worked out perfect because the snake was laying flat, and I just told her because the snake was probably about 2 feet long. So the most it could strike when it's coiled was a foot, because it's about 1/3 to 50% of their body length that they strike, and it all depends on the terrain. If they're on a slope where they're going to strike down, it'll be a little bit longer. If they're on a stroke where they strike up, it's going to be a little bit shorter. Um, so I was talking to her about that, and I said, "Watch." I said, "When I walk by that rattlesnake," and I was maybe 3 feet away, because she was telling me she would have walked like 20 feet around that. 20 feet's good because he's not coming after you. He wants nothing to do with you. And I started walking by. I said, "Watch." As soon as I walk by, he's going to coil, and it's going to be fast. And sure enough, it coiled really fast, started rattling, and he's watching me as I walk by. And then I stopped, and then she moved, the mom, and boom, snake focused on her, not striking or anything. But then I said, "Now watch. If we just stand here, in a minute, that snake's going to start slithering backwards, staying coiled, and as soon as it gets to where the bushes are, it's going to kind of inch his way in there and just straighten out and go away. He wants nothing to do with us." And that's exactly what the snake did. It was pretty cool the way it worked out. But anyway, this story was about meeting that family. They were trying to do the 50 high points.
Okay.
Uh, boys had like 27 high points each. Mom and daughter had like 22. Dad, however, has done all 50. So
Wow.
he's not interested in summiting. He's hiking with the family. I don't think he went to any of the summits. Um, but the very next day, when I went to Wheeler Peak, guess who was there?
You saw the
The family.
family, and
Anyone
yeah.
I met the day before. Yeah. So that was
All
pretty cool.
right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the state high point. So how many have you completed so far?
20.
20 of them. All right. So that's,
18 of those this year.
oh, wow. Most of those this year. Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, because I had in the past, I had done um, Humphreys as part of the Arizona Challenge,
Hmm.
and I had done Mount Whitney. I've done Whitney maybe 5 times.
Hmm.
Um, but then when I went up to do the Tahoe Challenge,
Hmm.
I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop in Bishop, drop my trailer off there at a campsite, drive maybe 45 minutes over to Nevada, and do Boundary Peak, which Boundary ended up being the hardest hike I've done this year because of an injury that I had had. It
Oh,
was super challenging. I mean, it's a challenging hike in itself. Um, and I had to park a mile down from the trailhead because of the conditions of the road. And I didn't want to risk it with my truck, kind of like what we did in Colorado, driving through some of those uh,
yeah. Rutted
roads going to the
roads.
trailhead. These
Yeah.
these were a little worse, or this was a little worse, and I didn't want to risk getting stuck. So I hiked the extra mile that day. This was in probably it was in June because it was before we did Colorado.
Hmm.
Um, so I got Boundary done, and then I thought, you know what? Let me just see how many high points I can get. And that was after I went up. I did Tahoe, and I drove over to Utah to do the Utah Challenge. And I thought, well, what's the high point here? Well, it's Kings Peak. I'm gonna go do that. And Kings Peak's a 25-mile out and back, um, and just like
That's
Colorado,
long.
storms
Yeah.
come in. Yeah,
Yeah.
most people do it in a couple of days. Uh, my goal was to do it in a day. Um, but I wanted to find a place where I could drop my trailer off because it's a dirt road to get there. I forget 20 miles or something like that on a dirt road to get up there. And the story I'd heard or the things I'd read is it's a rough road. Um, so I dropped my trailer off at a truck stop and I drove the 20 plus miles to get to the trailhead just to see one, looking for somewhere if I could get closer to drop my trailer off so I didn't have to drive so far the next day. Um, and then driving along, I ended up behind a tractor that was grading the road. And it was
Oh,
actually, I think it's the oil company that owns the national forest, even though it goes through the national forest. Um, but they're responsible for the roads, and they were going to grade it as far as they could go. Um, so I passed them, and I drove, and it was a little rough driving up in the truck, but easy for my truck to make it. Got to the trailhead, thought, okay, this would be cool, and I had found a spot like 5 miles back before the trailhead where I could pull my trailer in there that night and stay the night there. Was the goal.
sure.
So I went back, got my trailer, started driving in, and I drove right stop. And it's not an easy road to turn around. It's a double wide road, but I'm towing a trailer, so it's a little hard to turn around. So I just started driving, looking for places to turn around. I thought, let me just drive as far as I can go. And they had graded the road all the way up to the trailhead. And there's actually campsites there. I was able to back into a trailer spot, stayed the night there, got up the next morning, started my hike, going up. Oh, I met a cougar that day too. I started my hike early, like 3 in the morning. And the day before, somebody had reported that there was a cougar out there. And which I'm not too worried about. Cougars aren't really going to bother you unless you're bothering them. Um, kind of like a rattlesnake, or if you get too close to their kits, their
Sure.
cubs. So I'm hiking along. It's like 4 in the morning, and I'm going up this little slope, and maybe 20 yards in front of me, I see these eyes looking at me. I'm like, oh, there's a cougar. So I just started talking to it. I just had my trekking poles out and I just stretched them out, and I said, "Hey, cougar, how you doing?" in my best Joey Tribbiani, impression, and just talked to it for a second. And the cougar looked at me, looked away, looked back at me. Of course, I can see its eyes, so I know what it's doing. I can't see the cougar because it's dark.
Yeah.
And then just slowly walked away and just didn't pay me no mind. And then I went
Didn't
and did the
care.
hike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care. But coming down from that summit, a storm was coming in, and there were still people going up. And I'm probably about a half mile down, and the storm was already hitting. And I'm trying to tell them, look, I don't think you want to go up there. That's going to be a pretty heavy thunderstorm. You can see all the clouds out there that are coming in. But people went up there anyway, and I just kept going down. And I couldn't go over the same way I went up, which was the plan, because there was some rock scrambling, like class 2, 3 rock scrambling to get up there, and then to get back down. But there was also a loop down in the, I don't know, the little valley down there
It's like a
that you can
cirque.
take, which makes the route a little longer.
Mm.
Ended up with like 28.5 miles that day. And I did get caught in the rain. It was pouring down rain when I was down there, but I was safe from all the thunder and that. And you're still at about 8,000 feet at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. Like 28.5 miles.
Do you have plans? What are your plans for long term? Or you want to try to do all 50 or for the high points, state high points?
State high points. Yeah, I don't think I have the skill set to do all 50. There are a few out there like Denali, um,
Sure.
that require a lot of planning, some groups, and a lot of knowledge of not just cramp. I mean, I use crampons all the time. Ice act. In fact, that's how I met the twins. Um, but I don't have the knowledge with the ropes, with the reading the terrain in the snow and crevices and um, you know
It's
avalanche
not just a
conditions
it's
and
not
stuff like
just a
that.
hike. Yeah, it's a some of those
It's
like
fun.
Denali, it's kind of an expedition.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't have that, and there's a couple other hikes like Montana and Wyoming. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do those. I'd like to get Rainier. Um, Fingers crossed for that. I have some friends in Oregon that are avid hikers, mountain climbers that I went to high school with, and they
Oh,
do Mount
cool.
Hood every year. Yeah, so I'm
Oh, well, that'd be
hoping to get
great.
with
Yeah.
them around April, May-ish time frame,
Hmm.
and do a climb up Mount Hood. Uh, so that would be cool
Very
if I could
cool.
get that one,
All
especially
right.
since that's my home state.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. So tell me a little bit about you retired not too long ago. Like, are you and you're traveling around in your travel trailer and hiking all over the place. Do you have any favorite regions or discoveries that you've made in your travels?
Um, I don't know about favorite regions. I know Mount Washington in New Hampshire was awesome. Love that hike. I
What
want to
what
do
did
that in the
you what did
winter.
you love about it? Yeah.
The Well, one, all the hikes out there on the East Coast, and I'm sure you've hiked out there. They don't
Hmm.
know what switchbacks are, so those are just
Nope.
straight up bouldering hikes. I'm like, whew. So Mount Washington, you go straight up this canyon, and you're just bouldering. I mean, they're huge boulders, and it's not like you're walking on rocks, gravel and on the ground. These are boulders you're climbing over. And the last 1.4 miles to the summit was 1,900 feet elevation gain.
Oh yeah.
That's what I like. I like the steep. I like the challenge of it. The bouldering. I love bouldering. I got into bouldering doing the 100 Peak Challenge. Um, there's a lot of those where you have to do some bouldering.
Wow.
But yeah, that was Mount Washington. Probably my one of my favorites out there, if not the Mount Marcy in New York was pretty cool because as I was doing that, because that's one of the six pack. It's also, I think Marcy's one of the six pack.
It
Yeah.
is, and it's a state
Uh,
high point. Yeah.
yeah, and it's the state high point. So I was planning and I'm looking at the map the night before, just planning my route, making sure I knew all the egress routes and all that stuff. And I noticed a trail about the 4 mile mark that went because Marcy is about a 16-mile hike total
Hmm.
if you just do the out and back. But I noticed a trail at about the 4 mile mark that went off to the left about 1.1 miles to Phelps Peak, which is also one of the six. And I thought, ooh, I'm going to do that. So I knock out two peaks in one hike. Little did I know that when you go up that 1.1 miles, you're going up. Uh, uh, I don't know. It's a draw that's just all rocky and rooted, and it's really really steep. I think it was probably 1,500 feet elevation gain, maybe 12. I don't remember off the top of my head for that 1.1 miles, and you're climbing. And I was beat by the time I got to that summit. Came back down and then started going to Marcy, which I still have distance to go to get there. And that added a little over 2 miles to the hike. So I was 18 point some miles that day. And I was pretty worse for the wear.
Yeah. I
It
gotta
took its
say,
toll on me.
I gotta say,
Yeah, go ahead.
when I was doing the New England six pack of peaks, I gained a real respect for the trails back there because on paper, it looks like, oh, it's they're not that high, it's maybe not so much
Not that
vertical gain or
long.
whatever, but yeah, they're not that long. It's like, oh, these will be easier, right? And not really. There's some, like you said, they don't believe in switchbacks. There's a lot of roots and rocks and scrambling. And like there were some hikes that I took Joan on, my wife, and we had to like, put our, we had to climb, you had to do bouldering. And she's like, I'm not into that. That's not her thing. So it was, it was
Good thing
a
you probably
little
didn't
bit
have dogs with
outside of
you
her
either.
comfort zone, but it's amazing. I remember when I did Mount Washington, I got to a point and there's a waterfall coming down, cascading down that on the trail that I was on, and I'm like, all right, well, the trail got here. Where does it go? I don't see where it continues. And then I see these guys going like scrambling. They cross over the waterfall and they're kind of going up one side of the waterfall. And I'm like, holy crap, that's the trail, and then you see a
So
blaze and
you
you're
did
like,
Tucker.
yeah, yeah, Tuckerman Ravine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 1.4 miles where it's 1,900 feet elevation gain. That
It's
last
nuts.
1.4
Yeah.
miles going up. Yeah, it was fun.
But yeah, a
I
lot
would
of
say
fun.
my most memorable, if I have time, my most memorable hike wasn't really even a hike.
Okay.
It was doing the high points, and several of those are just silly. You just go to the high point. But I was in Ohio, and I don't remember the name of the high point. I'd have to look it up. But you drive up to it. It's a little monument thing right there on a former Air Force base. But they actually have a museum there now for this Air Force unit that was there. It was a reserve unit, but it was shut down. It was closed, and they only do tours by appointment only. So I'm in there. There, I'm at the high point, taking just to say I was here. I'm good. And this guy had drove up, and he was getting ready to unlock the door to the museum. And he's like, "Hey, you want to come inside and take a look?" I was like, "Oh, heck yes." And I'm not a big Air Force guy, but my sister's husband, who passed away a few years ago, um, he's a retired Air Force. So I thought, okay, let me go take a look. And I go in there, and the guy we're talking, I must have spent 2 hours in this place, just walking around, looking at the different things. And it's not it's no bigger than maybe I have a double garage, so it's probably two times my garage as far as size. Um, but he's telling me all these stories and stuff. And he was former Air Force as well. In fact, he worked in that unit. And he said that he gives these challenge coins out to all veterans that come in there. So he gave me a challenge coin. I'm like, oh, this is cool. In my plan, and I told him, I said, well, I'm going to give this to my sister because I'm putting together a shadow box for her for Christmas with Dawn, her husband's medals and ribbons, his rank, and the years that he served. And I said, I'm going to put that shadow box just because it's Air Force. And he was like, oh, that's cool. He goes, here, take another one. And he gave me one too. So I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, that was probably the most memorable part of my trip
Hmm.
was meeting this guy. They do these bricks for people who give certain amount of donations,
Hmm.
um, to keep the place running. They engrave on the bricks. Well, they have a section of bricks which is veterans only, and basically you donate $100 and you get a brick. And I was like, that and of course that'll be part of the Christmas present, so that my sister, she'll see it. But I mean,
That's
unless she goes back to Ohio, she
yeah,
won't
that's
really
cool.
see it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So yeah,
cool.
that was the most memorable part.
All right. Hmm.
Non-hiking.
Let's talk about sort of some of the reflections on growth through hiking and climbing these mountains. What are some of the lessons that the mountains that you've learned from the mountains that carry over into your everyday life?
Oh, I don't know what's carried over into my everyday life. I mean, there's things we do out there on the trail, like not getting summit fever and knowing when to turn
Yeah,
around. Early on, I didn't really have that mindset where I was going to turn around, but I also wasn't in positions where um, there was a big threat other than maybe heat. And I do pretty good in the heat, so wasn't worried about that. But
mm,
as I grew, knowing when to say, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to make the summit today. We
and
got to
it's
turn around,"
okay.
and I've done that.
Yeah,
It's okay, yeah. Even if it's one I'd never done, turn around, go back. The mountain's still going to be there. Um,
yep.
just like I don't know if this equates well enough, but everyday life. You get up every morning, you go out and you do your thing. Um, uh, the world's not going to change, or it is going to change actually, but everything's still going to be there. Uh, Things that I do on a daily basis, uh, not really challenging things, but putting things off, I guess, or waiting to do something because of weather. You do that here at home as well. Like I run in the mornings, or I ruck. Um, and there's some mornings I've gotten up because I get up early like you do. Um, and I'm outside. It's 4 in the morning and it's pouring down rain. And I'm like, not today. I'll do it
Yeah.
tomorrow. It was going to rain all day or something like that. Although I do enjoy doing that stuff in the rain, but there's some days where it's too
Some days
cold, it's too
it's
wet,
yeah,
too windy. Uh, you just change your direction for the day.
I can do
Same
it
thing with being
tomorrow.
on a
Yeah.
trip. Yep.
So what are some things that you hope that other people understand about hiking and challenges like the 6 pack or the 52 hike challenge or the 100 peak challenge? What are the things that you hope people get from like they would learn from you?
Again, it would be the health and wellness thing.
Mm,
Important thing for me. There are other things out there that I harp on with people all the time, about land navigation. Because I'll always ask if you're in a group hike with me, I'm questions about navigation. Do you know where we are? Direction we're walking? Do you know how to figure out what direction we're walking? Do you have a compass? Do you have a map? Things like that. And then I'll teach them how to use those things.
hmm.
And then also first aid, especially for groups. I've hiked with a few other groups, not as the lead, but just to tag along, see how they're doing. And I've noticed where there are groups out there that nobody is first aid qualified. You got a few nurses in there, but that's a little different.
Hmm.
Nobody is certified in anything really. Nobody knows any land navigation, not even the leader. And I'm like, how can you lead a group if you don't know what
Yeah.
happens when the weather turns and you have to navigate out of there and your compass broke if you have one, or you're relying solely on your map and your directional sense. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Do you practice those things? So those are things, the three most important things for me: health and wellness, knowing how to navigate, and knowing how to help somebody and treat
Mm.
actual injuries and illnesses and things like that. So,
Some basic skills, really. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You'd be.
Let's do
I
a
mean,
quick.
I know you're. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just say let's do a quick lightning round. Let's have some fun here.
Okay.
So We're going to hit these quick and see what your answers are. Favorite peak snack?
Oh, pickles.
Pickles. Great option. All right. Peak you could hike every year and never get tired of.
San Jacinto.
Mount
How am
San
I
Jacinto.
naming it?
All right. The hardest peak you've ever done in the challenge or outside, doesn't matter.
Because of an injury, boundary.
Boundary peak. All right. What's a peak on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
All the peaks in the last 5 challenges.
All right. Well, it doesn't really quite narrow it down, but we know what
we'll,
they
we'll go
are.
with Mount
Yeah.
Hood. We'll go with Mount Hood.
Okay. Favorite Trail Town coffee or breakfast spot?
Um, I don't drink coffee on the trail,
Oh,
and I don't do over. I haven't done overnighters
okay.
um, unless I'm camping in my trailer. Um, but I do.
Phil's
I like to take
trailer.
breakfast burritos. Yeah, I like to take breakfast burritos with me.
Oh yeah.
Tortilla with egg and cheese and maybe
I, I
salsa stuff like that.
I'm a big fan of the breakfast burrito. Yeah, awesome.
Hey, if we
All
do
right,
another
and
group hike,
you'll bring some breakfast burritos. Yeah,
yeah,
right
you
on.
know how we had breakfast in
Yeah,
Colorado? We do the same
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but we'll make burritos.
Awesome. All right, what last one? One item that you've always either overpacked or underpacked.
Water.
Bring more than you need or underpack.
Yeah, I mean, even when I brought, like, I did Rattlesnake Peak several years ago, and it was a hot day in the 90s, and I took 7 liters of water with me.
Ooh,
Um, Before I finished that hike, my 7 liters were gone. I drank
wow.
them all. But I'm well hydrated. I had like half a mile left. It's 100 degrees, 105, so I knew I was fine. But water, I ran out of water probably half a dozen times or so.
Mm,
Um, Mostly not because I don't plan well enough. It's mostly because extremely hot day and I knew I was going to drink it all, or I was giving my water out to other people. That
hmm.
happens a lot on trail, and then I end
Yeah,
up running out. But I know I usually know I'm going to be
you know
fine.
your body
Um,
and what you can do. Yeah.
yeah, um, and there have been times where I've gone out with 5 liters and I come back with 4.5.
Hmm.
So I overpack my water.
Same.
Um,
Yeah. Right.
but I camel up
Uh,
before a hike. I drink at least a liter before the hike starts.
that's a smart way to go. Is kind of pre-hydrate for the trail. All right. So what are some of your goals for 2026? We talked a little bit about those 5 challenges. Can you tell us what other those goals? Are there other high points or other regions that you want to explore a little bit more in 2026?
Yeah. So my plan right now, early on in the year, I'm going to. It's called Tabazona. It's in Arizona, but it's with the trailer. It's a New Camp Trailer has these rallies all over the United States. Well, there's only like 4 or 5 of them, but I'm going to that one in Arizona. From there, I'm planning on hitting Mexico or New Mexico to try to knock out that 6 pack. And then after that, I'm driving back to the east. There's a rally in Tennessee, and there's also one in I think it was in New York this last year, but I think it's in Pennsylvania this year or this coming year. I'm going to go to that, but before I go there, I got to head up to Maine because while I was back there this year doing all those high points, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, all those states over there, I didn't get to do Maine, which
Mm,
was on my list. But I found out that you have to have a permit and you have to go online to get the permit just to park. Um, and those permits sell out. 2 weeks
that's
remaining in the season when I was back there, and there were no permits,
yeah,
so I
that's
wasn't able to
Katahdin.
do. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
so that'll be the first thing I do when I go back east. I want to go northeast, do Katahdin, come down to Pennsylvania, do the rally, and then from there I'm going to venture down to the Carolinas, the Virginias, Georgia, Florida. some of those states down in there, Alabama, and do the high points there. Some which I'm sure will be pretty easy, but some I think are going to be pretty challenging. So,
Awesome. All right. Let's see. So, do you have any goals for how do you hope to inspire people in the hiking community?
um, just by being out there doing things. I mean, in the military, it's lead by example. And I was a Marine for 21 years, so I like to go out on hikes and lead people using the example that I would like them to emulate.
Right.
If you want to be a good hiker, um, if you want to be a good leader, follow me.
Yeah.
That's
Be a
my
positive example of a good hiker. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Right on. All right. So, we're gonna wrap up here. I wanted to ask, what are ways that people can connect with you if they want to connect with you and maybe learn more about your adventures and or
Sure.
hike with you or just give you say thanks to you for your inspiration. How can they connect with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Uh, if you just look up Philip Yoho, and it's else, should I tell that story?
One L, yeah, one L of a
Yep,
guy.
one hell of a guy.
Yeah.
So Philip Yoho or Philip.Yoho, I think,
Okay.
for
And we'll
on
put links
Facebook.
in the show notes.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll do all that.
sure. And
Um,
I'll even throw my phone number out there if people wanted to call me. That's fine. I'm always open.
all right. Well, sum up in one sentence, if you can, why you climb.
The pure joy,
Pure joy.
just
That's
being out there,
awesome.
it's seeing God's creation. It's just pure joy.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Philip, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this episode on Why I Climb. You're kind of kicking off this part of the Social Adventures podcast. So I really appreciate that. I really enjoyed hiking the Colorado Six Pack of Peaks Challenge with you this last summer, and hope we get a chance to hike again in the future. And thanks again for being part of the Six Pack of Peaks community and being such an inspiration to so many people.
Well, same to you. I mean, you're a pretty big inspiration to all the folks out there that sign up for these challenges. So
Yeah.
thank you. And
Yeah.
thanks for hosting that Colorado hike.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was a lot
fun,
of fun. That was a lot of fun.
even
All
though my
right.
trailer didn't work.
All right.